Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Wes Decker, and in the world of sports, statistics often help to tell the story. They quantify performances and enable us to compare and contrast them. You might even notice a reference or two or 92 to stats on the show today, maybe if you pay close attention. So as a warm-up, hot on the heels of Friday's inauguration of President Trump, and for those of you who are of the opinion that former President Obama accomplished little during his 8 years in the White House, perhaps these stats indicate that you shouldn't have really gone looking for accomplishments beyond the gates of the White House. According to real estate website Zillow, during Mr. Obama's 2 terms in office, the value of the White House itself increased 15%, meaning that 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is now worth just shy of $398 million. For that bundle of cash, you get 132 rooms, 32 bathrooms, a tennis court, and basketball courts, among other amenities. Zillow goes on to project that if someone were to take out a standard 30-year fixed mortgage on the White House, the monthly payment would be $1.6 million. However, if you prefer to skirt all of the hassle that comes with the inherent upkeep as a homeowner, then you could exercise the monthly rent option for just a cool $2 million per. So while statistics say that Obama was a phenomenal steward of the White House, perhaps one of the only people who could actually afford to pay the price to live there is now living there. Regardless of how you feel politically, isn't it interesting to see how stats can be manipulated to make things seem right with the world? Hey, I know I feel better. In fact, I feel good enough to do a show. Coming up today, girls basketball with Bob Parsaliti and boys hoops with Kevin Dunleavy. Additionally, St. Maria Goretti boys basketball head coach Matt Miller will be here in advance of Sunday's IPSL title game. And I'll start with show and tell of last Friday's County Indoor Track and Field Championships in just a moment.
Champions are not merely born, they're forged in the crucible that is flag football. With equal parts turf, pigskin, and heart. That's why Buffalo Wild Wings donates to boys and girls clubs across the country to not only help thousands of kids learn about teamwork on and off the field, but to help them fulfill their destiny. To shred defensive lines, terrorize the secondary, and emerge bonded as true champions.
At Hagerstown Ford, we charge less, period. We're the largest Ford store in the tri-state area. Number one for only one reason. We charge less, period. Hagerstown Ford delivers. We'll bring your new ride to you and do the whole deal sitting at your kitchen table. Easy peasy. Get more for your trade, easy on-the-spot financing, and the lowest prices on the East Coast guaranteed. And if we can't beat their deal, we'll buy that car for you. Hagerstown Ford, we charge less, period.
Welcome back to the show. At the 26th County Indoor Track and Field Championships, the course that history has been carving out proved too tough to alter for the county's 6 other teams last Friday evening, as the Boonesboro boys and girls instead repeated history again. The Warrior girls put 71.5 points between themselves and second place on their way to consecutive county title number 6. Junior Cameron Harper came home a winner in all 4 events in which she competed, winning the 300, then the 500, which may have been her most impressive, holding off Lauren Daniels of Smithsburg, and then participated in victories in the 4x200 and 4x400 relays. Senior Molly Jones turned back South Hagerstown sophomore Emily Alexander to prevail in both the 800 and the 1600, and aside from Harper, Jones was the only other double individual winner, although senior Malia Simpson and sophomore Ainsley Plumador left with a pair of blue ribbons too. Simpson defeated Smithsburg's Maggie Alvarez in a jump off at 8 feet to win the pole vault and added a collective 4x4 relay title, as did Plumador, who also contributed to the winning 4x2 relay team. Behind Boonesboro, just 12.5 points separated second from 4th place in the team standings. North captured the 4x8 relay, and junior Jordan Morris provided the Hubs with a no-doubt-about-it win in the 55 hurdles. Morris's second county 55 hurdles crown in 3 years, helping North secure the runner-up spot by 6.5 points over South, who got a winning performance from the aforementioned Alexander in her favorite event, the 3200. The Rebel Youth Movement received a further boost when freshman Sadie Leisinger picked up where the graduated Chelsea Wright left off by winning the high jump. Then it was another 6 points back to Smithsburg. The Leopards' brightest highlight was turned in by the junior Daniels, who sprinted to victory in the 55-meter dash to defend her crown there. And Williamsport junior Michaela Klein rounded out the roll call of county titleists, claiming victory in the shot put with a throw that outdistanced the competition by more than a foot. As for the boys, Boonesboro and South Hagerstown engaged in a shootout. And despite the teams notching 4 event wins each, the Warriors simply had more bullets in their gun, and thus they secured their 5th straight county team championship. The Boonesboro wins included junior Nick Kidwell, whose shot put throw, a PR of 50 feet, 8 3/4 inches, led him to a win by over 6.5 feet. Junior Ben Hardings took the 1600, his margin of victory there at nearly 12 seconds. Sophomore Donovan McClellan won the 800, an event in which 3 Warriors placed in the top 7, and senior Adam Berleman took the 55 hurdles. Berleman was 3rd in the prelims, but turned the tables on South's Ini Alanian and Smithsburg's Sam Ewing, besting them both in the finals. As for South's victories, senior DeJuan Williams grabbed the 500, where the Rebels placed 3 in the top 6. Junior Kathon McDonald won the high jump as South went 1-2, McDonald winning with a PR of 6'4". And in the 4x200 and 4x400 relays, senior Lincoln Akubu contributed to both, and Williams earned his 2nd blue ribbon in the 4x4. North finished 3rd overall, 41 points behind the Rebels. Junior Brandon Gassaway won the 3200 and factored prominently into the Hub's winning 4x800 relay team. Williamsport followed in the team standings, edging out Smithsburg and Hancock for 4th with a mere 3 points separating the 3 teams. Senior Justin Walters won his 3rd straight county title in the pole vault for the Wildcats, and Hancock senior Ian Mann PR'd in both the 55-meter dash, where he ran 6.69, bettering his prelim time by 0.15 of a second, and in the 300, where by all accounts he didn't run like a football player and also left almost literally with the crown while, oh by the way, defending his title in both events. Next up, 1A, 2A West Region Championships a week from Saturday at HCC, 3A West Region Championships Thursday, February 9th at the Baltimore Armory, all leading up to the state championships Monday and Tuesday, February 20th and 21st at the PG Sportsplex. And before we close out indoor track and field for this week, I want to thank HMTV6's Derwin Worrell for shooting Friday's footage while I was on basketball duty. Speaking of basketball, that's where we're going next. St. Maria Goretti boys head coach Matt Miller joins me to talk Gales hoops on the other side of this break.
When it comes to hearing loss, who will be taking care of you? Audiologist Dr. Karen Hamilton is Hagerstown's hearing doctor, working to improve the quality of life for those with hearing loss. At Audiology Services, Dr. Hamilton focuses on evaluation and diagnosis to provide solutions for treating hearing loss. Using the latest technology, she programs hearing aids to meet your unique needs and ensures they fit properly and comfortably. Audiology Services participates with most insurance companies and will check benefits and file claims on your behalf. Dr. Hamilton and her team also serve the community through Hagerstown Hearing, which focuses on providing crystal clear sound in places such as theaters, churches, offices, and homes. Hagerstown Hearing installs looping systems that allows those with hearing loss to enjoy speech clarity and noise reduction, providing an experience like never before. To learn more about Audiology Services and Hagerstown Hearing, call 301-790-3300. Audiology Services and Hagerstown Hearing, providing crystal clear sound.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. We continue now with basketball and St. Maria Goretti Gales boys basketball at that. I'm joined by head coach Matt Miller. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Oh, thanks a lot, Wes. Glad to be here.
It's good to have you here, and obviously it's a terrific season to this point for St. Maria Goretti. How would you evaluate the year to this point?
I think we've grown and learned as we've gone along. I think every time we've taken a loss, we've learned from it. We talk a lot about, there's no winning and losing, there's winning and learning. And I think this group has really bought into just learning how to win, learning how to play hard, and learning how to win in tight situations. And so we're having a lot of fun. The kids get along great, and we're just excited to have play a tough caliber schedule and have some success.
Yeah, 18-4, the overall record right now, 7-1 in the BCL coming into this week. Did you envision that this team had this kind of potential this season?
last 3 years, all 3 years I've been here, I believe that we have good teams, and I do believe every team we play against is pretty good too. And you never really know how it's going to shake out, but I know we have some hungry guys who have had a tremendous off season. I think that's been a big difference for us coming into this year. We had a great off season, and the kids really worked at it, and showed their ability to want to play for each other, and not just play for what they have in store for the future. So I mean, this group, there's something special about them, and no matter what happens down the rest of the year, they've been really fun to work with.
And what's it like having two guys who are going to be going to Division I schools when they graduate this season?
It is unique and special in one way, but at the same time, we need that in order to be able to compete with the rest of our league. The two of them have, with their second year playing together, have really figured out a chemistry. In the past, it kind of seemed like they took turns, and now they're working together to find a way to take the best shot. They're working together to find a way to get a big stop. So they've showed a lot of maturity and leadership as they've grown together.
And Jake Kuhn has been on fire from three-point range recently.
Yeah, well, you can shoot the ball, but the nice thing is Jake's a player. I mean, just as Elijah, they're both players, and they can score in different ways. They can contribute in different ways. But when you make shots, it helps. We always try to emphasize you got to guard every single game to give yourself a shot to win. And if you make shots, you're going to win. In addition to that, but it always helps your coach and your team out when the ball's dropping. But he does a lot of things. I mean, he's kind of a jack of all trades. But in certain games he becomes a passer, certain games more of a rebounder, certain games more of a shot maker or finisher. And as of recent, he's really been shooting it well.
Yeah, and going to Cornell, by the way, so certainly has a good head on his shoulders too. And then Elijah Clarence, who's ticketed to go to Illinois State. Can you describe his game a little bit?
Yeah, he's just a dynamic player with a lot of talent, and I don't even think he's tapped into half of his potential. He's really just really learning the game, and he's getting smarter and smarter over time. And I think playing with Jake, the two of them have really grown with the mental side of the game. But they're both workers, and Elijah is just one of those guys you can't keep out of the gym. And that's why he's going to be successful in the long run. He's a big-time talent, and just like Jake, he can do a lot of things well, but he's got that element of athleticism that you really can't teach. He works at it, but I mean, there's some really God-given ability there, and he takes advantage of it.
And I think a guy that I've been really impressed with this year is R.J. Blakeney, and just the improvement from one year to the next. To what do you attribute that? Hard work?
Hard work, maturity.
Yeah.
I think just the difference between a freshman and sophomore is huge. And, it's rare that freshmen play varsity, and I think having that experience, year one, you're going to have your ups and downs, but he got to see, what it took in order to be successful in year two. And, obviously, sophomores have their ups and downs, but he has had a lot more highs than he's had lows, and he's come a long way, and we're just proud of him as a young man, how he's really developed in the last 2 years.
And what does Amir Harris mean to this team coming over from South Hagerstown?
Oh, he means a lot. He's probably been that missing piece, that glue guy that can make plays and be the man, but he can also make other guys the man too. He's very good at picking spots and making winning plays. If you need him to rebound, he'll rebound. You need him to pass the ball. You need him to defend, he'll defend. And if you need him to score, he'll score. So he does a little bit of everything well, and I think he's just kind of starting to figure things out as well. But it's been a blessing to have Amir with this group.
Coming up on Sunday, the IPSL Championship. It's been commonplace now the last several years for it to be St. Maria Goretti and St. James. You earned the game at home by beating St. James last Friday, 79-67 at their place. What did you learn from that particular game? Obviously, you don't have the motivation of trying to avenge a loss, so how do you approach that from a coaching standpoint?
Well, I just think, just as any other game, you have to look at, things you have to do better. And I think there are some things we definitely have to do better in order to be successful again. They're a very good team. They rebound the ball extremely well. They've got 3 big-time players and then a plethora of other talented players. So I think, I think we've played more games at this point. So every day and every game, they're going to be getting better and better. I know they're a program that always really peaks, towards the end of January into February. They really develop as the season goes along. But they've got some very talented players, and you know what? We're going to have to show up and really guard them and rebound in order to have a chance on Sunday.
Well, I know the BCL championship is your number 1 goal, but how big is an IPSL title along the way?
I think it's great. I mean, there's nothing more exciting than a Goretti St. James game. I think for the kids and the community, it's kind of the pinnacle of the season. And obviously, competing in the Baltimore Catholically, it's very important to us as well. Considering the monster teams that are in that league,
Right.
And we're excited that we have the opportunity to play in both. But in our area, in our area of Western Maryland, everybody knows what the big game is.
Yeah, and we'll be there with the TV cameras, Coach. So looking forward to that. Best of luck, and thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much, Wes.
I'll be back right after this. Have more boys basketball to talk about. Kevin Dunleavy joins me for that in just a moment.
Tony's Pizza in Williamsport has had the same simple philosophy since 1985. Start with simple products. Sauce from the best Italian tomatoes. The best cheese and dough made fresh every day. Then mix those with a great atmosphere, and you'll have the best dining experience you can find. Tony's is known for their pasta dishes, subs, pizzas, and specialty items like their Nutella Dots and the famous Crazy Tony. Simply put, they want to give the best food they can give to their customers. So stop in today to Tony's Pizza in Williamsport.
Life's expensive. You've got your home, your car, maybe a family, and now you're thinking about earning your degree. At Kaplan University, we get it. When it comes to the cost of your education, every bit helps. That's why we created Tuition Cap. It's a program that sets the maximum amount you'll pay for college. Once you meet the cap, the rest of your degree is free. That's right, free. That adds up to a 33% savings off the full tuition. It's all part of our promise to make college more affordable. Learn how you can save with Kaplan University's Tuition Cap program at 1-866-KAPLAN-4.
Welcome back to the show. We continue now with more boys basketball, and Herald Mail Insider Kevin Dunleavy here to talk about it. Kevin, first of all, let me just throw this out to you. This is kind of broad, but in public school basketball in the county this season, who is it that we can trust at this point? We talked about this a little bit earlier in the season, but it's almost like there's an identity crisis with these teams in Washington County, because for a while it looked like it was North Hagerstown. And then we're talking just last week, well, this looks like a springboard victory for South Hagerstown. They come back after that, do nothing. Look how well Williamsport's playing. Then they're beaten by Smithsburg. Smithsburg now seems to be the team. So going forward, can we put a little faith in Smithsburg at this point?
Yeah, it looks like, I think what it is you've got a talent pool that's really equally distributed. These teams have about an equal amount of talent, and nobody has a real big star to really lead them and carry them through a season and to look to in big games. So it's this is not that unexpected, in the county right now, public school wise.
What do you like about Smithsburg right now? I mean, 5 straight wins on the heels of 7 straight losses.
They've got a good rotation of 8 players. They're all healthy for the first time this year. Kirby Lenus was out with an ankle, and Cameron Cutchy with an ankle, and those are 2 of their best players, and then they had some sickness too. So now they've got everybody back, and they all bring something a little different. They've got a point guard who really concentrates on getting the ball and spreading the ball around. Cameron Snyder, he leads the county in assists among public school players. So it's a really nice blend that they've got and kind of fallen into with a lot of guys that weren't either with the program last year or up from the JV, and it's a lot of different parts that are coming together nicely now.
Yeah, that was a signature win for Smithsburg last Friday over Williamsport, a team that came in with 9 victories. And now Smithsburg has an interesting week, 3 games on the schedule, but probably the 3rd one coming up this week is the biggest against South Hagerstown, a chance to avenge a loss that was a pretty ugly one early in the season.
Yeah, that was a loss where Cutchy was out, and they were really beaten by South Hagerstown's quickness. And that's always an issue with Smithsburg against South Hagerstown. You're going to have a quickness edge, and if you can get around that, Smithsburg has more skilled players, I think, than South does. But, there's that initial, we saw this last year, remember, when South played Clear Spring, that quickness edge was just so key and kind of took Clear Spring out of the game quickly, and that's what South can do to you with their pressure.
Yeah, South jumped all over Clear Spring in that game, as I remember. I think it was 22-2 at one point, and Clear Spring was a pretty darn good team last year. So Smithsburg, again, that'll be their third game of the week, so this will be a true test coming up this week for Eric Gerber's Leopards. Now, on the private school landscape, I noticed in your notebook, you talked about some potential Player of the Year candidates there. I had Matt Miller on earlier today. I really wanted to put him on the spot and say, hey, who is the Player of the Year? Is it Jake Kuhn or is it Elijah Clarence from your own team? I didn't do that to him, though. I played nice. But right now, between those two guys, I mean, what's your feel? What's your lean on those two right now?
I've gone back and forth. The early, through the first month, it was definitely Elijah Clarence. He's got a lot of, he's got more physical ability, I think, than any player in the county. He's just so explosive. But he can be out of control sometimes, and you can have some empty possessions with, where he tries to do too much. He's very aggressive with the ball, but he's, given that, he's a great player, and you like the aggressiveness, and overall it's a positive. But Jake Kuhn is really polished. He's the best three-point shooter in the county by far. He's 6'6", and he does a lot of other things well. So I think it's two different players, but they are very even, and it'll probably come down to who has the bigger moments in their bigger games, and they've already had their big moments. Jake won one game with a three-pointer at the end of the game, and Elijah did the same thing in their biggest game where they beat Mount St. Joe, the #1 team in Baltimore. So Elijah Clarence has the biggest moment for that team this year, plus he was the MVP of their own tournament. So, he's probably got a little bit of an edge right now, but, either one of them could be it.
With about 30 seconds to go here, I want you to weigh in on round number 2 between St. James and Goretti, the IPSL championship game coming up Sunday.
Yeah, the game last Friday was one with a lot of pace to it. And I think St. James needs to slow down the pace and make it more of a half-court game. Make Bryce Golden the key player of the game, which he can be in a half-court game because he's the best low-post player in the county by far.
Should be fun if the atmosphere is anything like it was on Friday night, that's for sure. Kevin, thanks so much for being here. I'm back right after this. Girls basketball with Bob Parsolini in just a moment.
Champions are not merely born, they're forged in the crucible that is flag football. With equal parts turf, pigskin, and heart. That's why Buffalo Wild Wings donates to boys and girls clubs across the country to not only help thousands of kids learn about teamwork on and off the field, but to help them fulfill their destiny. To shred defensive lines, terrorize the secondary, and emerge bonded as true champions.
At Hagerstown Ford, we charge less, period. We're the largest Ford store in the tri-state area. #1 for only one reason. We charge less, period. Hagerstown Ford delivers. We'll bring your new ride to you and do the whole deal sitting at your kitchen table. Easy peasy. Get more for your trade, easy on-the-spot financing, and the lowest prices on the East Coast guaranteed. And if we can't beat their deal, we'll buy that car for you. Hagerstown Ford, we charge less, period.
Welcome back to the show. We continue with more basketball now. Girls basketball with Herald Mail insider Bob Parsolini. Welcome back to the show, Bob.
Thanks for having me on.
Let's talk about last Friday's game between Williamsport and Smithsburg. Third meeting of the season in a very short period of time. Obviously, those two teams know each other very well. You could say that they're the two best public school teams in Washington County coming in. And early on, unlike the first two matchups, Smithsburg jumped out on Williamsport, and it looked like it was going to be the Leopards' night, but there were so many whistles within that game that it really truncated any runs that either team could get going. Williamsport able to answer back by playing a big second half. But what was your impression of the game overall?
Well, you're right about the amount of whistles. I mean, I thought we were being had train coming through. The one point you said is about not being able to get any flow. Well, you have to, in order to get flow, you have to get a long period of time of playing. And when you're Smithsburg and you're playing that press that they play, and it was bothering Williamsport in this case, you take away from it. I mean, you stop the game, and all of a sudden, you got Chip Bakewell sitting there praying for them to hit foul shots so they can set it up because there's not any flow to the baskets. So they were up 15-5 at one point, and combination of circumstances, but it ends up being 15-10 with Stephanie Gomez hitting that prayer of a three-pointer with 0.4 seconds ago to put it within 5. And that was a huge point. I mean, it wasn't the point of the game, but that was a huge point in the game, them getting within 5 at that point, I think.
And it made a big difference later in the game because points at a premium in the second half. Williamsport played its signature defense, limiting Smithsburg to just 18 second half points after giving up 28 in the first half. But a point well taken when you mention Gomez, who certainly factored in. And that Williamsport bench, which is certainly less heralded than the Smithsburg bench for sure. Hannah Bishop in the first half was huge for Williamsport with 7 points, and then Gomez big in the second half. But neither team could seemingly hit free throws, which did not help their cause. And then Williamsport limiting the top 2 scorers for Smithsburg to just a combined 2 points. So in the end, Williamsport able to pull this game. Second 3-point game between the two teams this season. You'd almost like to see them play again, but I think when you break it down, as you said, it would be nice to see the starters kind of decide that game a little bit more.
The benches decided this game, and like we were talking earlier, one side of it, yeah, it should be you're waiting for somebody that's a star or a regular to pull out the big shot, do the big thing, you know. But on the other side of the coin, this is one of those games that they may look back on where it helped them, because there was a lot of people that got called on, a lot of girls that got called on to play that normally don't play, and they really stepped forward and put up some big numbers on both sides. And, you know, down when it gets to be playoff time and fouls come around and they get things get a little tight, it's a good experience for them here. So in a sense, there's some pluses, but there was a lot of minuses in that game, because that game should have been probably one of the marquee games of the year as far as matchups go around here. And it didn't materialize because of intangibles.
I would certainly agree with that. And I think this game, in a way, though, when you try to find that silver lining, which you're sort of alluding to there, on the Smithsburg side, there's no shame in losing to a Williamsport team, which is a team in a higher classification than you are for the third team. It only helps to make you better. And as I said a couple of weeks ago, I think Smithsburg has every right to win the rest of their games throughout the regular season. Sets them up well then for the playoffs after having played a game like this. And on the Williamsport side, I know there were some people who were saying, well, this game really doesn't mean a whole lot. But it does when you're challenged by another team, regardless of the classification. And for the second game in a row, Williamsport coming up big in the fourth quarter, coming back from a third quarter deficit to pull it out. So to your point, going forward, and when you get to that juncture in the season where you're one and done, these are the things you can draw from.
Well, and if you needed any other ways to say that it was good in some ways, I know that there was a lot of people sitting around where I was in the stands saying, that was a good game. Yeah. That was a good game. It was competitive. They really fought, you know. And there's some games that you go to that you don't hear that.
Yeah, effort-wise, both teams put it all out there. I don't think there's any question about that. And Williamsport, in the end, again, maybe they suffered from a little bit of a hangover from having beaten Middletown earlier in the week. Don't want to make any excuses there, but certainly Smithsburg had a lot to do with that. And I think the style that Smithsburg plays is really going to bother teams who haven't seen them once the postseason rolls around, because they can just keep coming at you in waves with those players off the bench.
Well, you sit there and you watch, and I'm thinking back to the Daub Classic when they played Bel Air, and Bel Air just couldn't run with that press. And if you're not used to seeing that press, and the big key though is they have to shoot. They have to be able to make baskets to keep the flow going, because there's going to be games where there's not going to be a lot of fouls called, and when those happen, you really have to. You can't play ping pong and just keep going back and forth and getting 1 point when somebody makes a mistake. You gotta score some points to get things going. And when they score and keep that press going, they can do a lot, but it's a matter of getting the whole thing together.
Yeah, that style is dependent upon making the shots first, setting up the press second right off of that. So, yeah, point well taken. Bob, thank you very much for being here this week. And thanks to all of you for watching. Another show in the books. And Got another one coming up in 7 days for you, so I'll be looking for you then. Until then, we'll see you on the inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers. Hey.